TV. This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Her Story, the show to encourage more women to explore the possibility of using their skills and talents by participating in leadership roles within our community. I'm Tiffany James, and I have the pleasure of hosting this program. My hope with this show is to encourage women in our community to actively engage and use their voice to bring attention to issues they are passionate about, hoping we will all get more involved. Please welcome my guest, Kim Skermer. Kim is an experienced small business coach with a background in the corporate world and as a high-performance athlete. Kim finds joy in mentoring, training, and guiding ambitious entrepreneurs to reach their peak performance, encouraging them to find the I and find the calm by searching inward to find what propels them to be a high achiever. And I am excited to hear her story. Hello, Kim. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's a perfect way to spend a Friday, so thank you.
Well, thanks. I don't hear that often. I'll have to tell my husband I'm the perfect way to spend a Friday.
Are you just going to spend every Friday with me from now on?
Perfect. I love it. So, Kim, tell me a bit about your background. I know that you came and moved to our area from Toronto, from the big T-Dot, and fell in love with our area. So tell me a bit about your background in the corporate world as a high-performance athlete. Tell me about that and how that propelled you to where you are now.
It's a big story. It's a very big story. And we only have a half an hour, so let's get the Coles notes on how I made it through college and university, right? I think it's all about this one part, my trajectory, my path, how I ended up here. There are things that have always been fundamental for me, and it's community, it's nature, it's collaboration, and it's going back to that question of, what if there's a better way, and how can I do this better? So it's those two big pieces that really brought me up here, because it's beautiful, there's nature, all that wonderful stuff. I'm sorry, I totally lost myself. Is everything okay?
I just had someone come walk in, so I apologize, and I'm like, no.
I was like, where are you going? Oh, and you're on mute.
So nature, you came to the right place.
I did.
Yeah. Well, I love our area just for that. So tell me a bit about, so you're a small business coach and you focus on finding the I and finding the calm. Yeah. Can you explain that a bit to me on why those are your two big things?
It comes with helping small business in Canada. If we look at the stats of small business in Canada, only a third of them will be successful within the first year. So that means we're losing 2/3 of our business owners and our entrepreneurs that come through it. And coaching has been around for a very long time on how to, have the practice through, how to run a business. And I started looking at it from my corporate experience, from my athletics experience of, okay, what is happening? What is going on? Why are people failing? And by looking at that and realizing, well, businesses are ran by a human being. And so there is a business development phase on how your business is growing, just as there's a phase of development that a human goes through. So the find the I, find the calm. Calm is actually an acronym. And it stands for the business development phases that a business needs to go through. And in the first year, you have to create with wonderment. Creativity is art, and it is intelligence having fun. So you have to create in those first couple of years, and we have to give people permission to do so and let them know it's okay. And then the A stands for align. So in your years as you're going on, you now need to align with structure, because in the beginning, when you're first new, your business baby, right, you're not going to take much direction. You're excited, you're creating your things like that. It's the same thing as telling a 6-year-old they can't have a lollipop at 9:00 at night. They're going to find a way, and they're not going to listen to your advice, right? They're just going to say, hey, watch me. I'm going to do this. So now
have you met my son?
I totally have. Right? So now you got some experience, you've had some bumps, you've had some lumps. Now you're ready for some structure. So that is aligned with structure. And then as you go on more, you become more confident in who you are, your business, your structure. You've learned some things. You're creative. You now have aligned. Now you can lead in your wisdom. And
Oh,
so when you start leading in your wisdom, there's this final phase, and it's master your authority. And that's when people truly become the expert. That is when people completely understand their niche. They stay in their lane and they do what they are really good at. And this complements those development phases of a human being, which is a Jungian, if you're a Jungian, or Carl Jung, a psychologist, a very famous psychologist, with the archetypes of a human being, which is you're a poet in the beginning, then you go into a soldier, and then you become a sage, and then as king. And so it's those same phases. So it's a tip of the hat to behavioral economics and psychology, because it's the same thing in business and in life.
that makes sense when you put it through. You need to, yeah, that absolutely. So, what made you decide when you left the corporate world to become a coach?
I've coached for over 2 decades. So my position in the corporate world was building practice management divisions, even right from when I came into the corporate world as a wholesaler. I come from financial services. And if I can coach a financial advisor and increase their business with a conversation that's taxes and death and blood samples, all that kind of stuff, and life insurance, right? I can pretty much coach anybody, truly. So, looking at my success too and my background in athletics, I was a coach in athletics, and I was also approached my whole entire career from a coaching perspective and a standpoint, because nobody truly learns or embraces their true authority, their authenticity, if someone does it for them. So a lot of times in corporate, and especially when you're in a wholesaling position or a sales position, you want to overserve, and I'll do that for you, I'll get that for you, I'll do that. People never learn and they never grow at all whatsoever. So what you need to do is to actually help people and coach them to find their way and to understand and to do it this way. And I was kind of even laughing this morning. My mother-in-law, we were having a bagel this morning, and she just said, what do you do, or what is it? Explain this coaching thing. So we had 2 bagels, and I had, the exact same one with cream cheese on it. And I smashed mine, and I gave her hers. And she was like, what are you doing? And I said, well, they're both bagels. They're the same amount of calories, everything. What's the difference? She goes, well, yours is smashed and mine's not. And I said, exactly. It's different in style and it's different tastes, but it's the same thing. So that whole entire part, when you come to coaching and how people need the right approach, which comes to the name of my company, it's that same fundamental bottom line. It's the bagel with cream cheese on it, same calories, everything. It's just a different style and a different delivery method.
Oh, I love that. Love that so much. So you mentioned your past as as an athlete and coaching an athlete. Um, what was the trajectory in your life that changed you from from the athlete to the corporate life to finances?
It was I paddled dragon boat for a very long time, and that's where my athletics were, and my high achieving athletics, excuse me. And what happened was when I moved from out west and I moved to Toronto. Was my first move. And when I moved here again on a very high achieving team, and I ended up having to get a double hip replacement at the age of 44.
Oh,
And at the same time, I've always been a high achiever and a high performer. So I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I would go train at the gym. I'd go work all day. Then I'd go have something to eat really quick, water, and I'd be on coaching all night. And I would get home at 9 o'clock. I'd go to sleep and do it over again. And it was a very interesting change and an identity loss that happened when, at 44, I made the nationals again, about to go to the Worlds, to go to Italy. And instead of going on the plane with the rest of my crew, I was going on a gurney. And I didn't know who I was anymore, because I was this 5'10", blonde-haired, blue-eyed, absolute muscular, Eastern European strong girl. And that had been my identity for such a long time. So it was very interesting on how, even in my corporate world, I was always introduced of, hey, this is Kim. She's an athlete. She does this. She does that. Like, there's confidence that you have. And for the longest time, athletics was my identity, right? The
Mm,
team, the crew, the lifestyle. And then all of a sudden I found myself lost because I'm not her anymore. Who am I?
mm,
Who am I now? And so it was just really strange, even taking on and hearing the conversations where people would just try to, be kind to you or talk to you about stuff, but they just say, do you miss paddling anymore? Or I can't wait till you're not walking with a cane anymore as I'm going through the surgeries, like all of that. It's very interesting, when you have that trajectory and then that transformation through it, because we change all the time and there's just different things ahead of us. We just don't know what it is.
yeah. Would you say that's the pivotal moment that inspired you to become more engaged in the community around you? That double hip replacement at such a young age?
Yeah, it is. When we go through many things in life, and that one was a big one for me. It really was a
Yeah.
big one for me, because even just PTSD of, okay, I'm healed now. I've gone through the physiotherapy. You're scared to do anything. You're scared to, kind of leap across the puddle because you're like, oh my gosh, am I gonna land funny and my leg's gonna pop off like a Barbie doll leg? I don't know,
Oh,
right?
wow.
So
Yeah.
it's really interesting on just being scared and watching people in the water and doing things and people asking me to come coach again. I noticed a dragon boat going down the canal here, and I sat on the side of the water and watched, going, do I go talk to them and ask to coach them? And so I decided of taking that whole merriment and how do I involve that more in the community. I work with some Indigenous kids, and I also work with high risk kids, and showing them that connection of unity, of community, of working together, what synergy means, right? Because when you're on a boat and you're paddling together, you have to work together. How easy it is just to move your body when you're scooting your butt and the boat moves. Like just that whole combination of being in the moment, being in nature. And as I say, water is my church, and I think it's many people's church. I think it's why most of us live up here. And just kind of bringing that whole trajectory together. So yeah.
Yeah, that's something to have your life change in such a drastic move when that was everything. Have you been back in a boat since?
I actually
Oh,
have
good.
I have an outrigger, and I used to race with a bobblehead Jesus on the front of my boat. And so everyone used to look at me, and the marshals at the finish line was like, "What are you doing?" And I'd say, "Well, it's my good luck charm." And I'd say, "Jesus walked on water, so do I."
I
I
love
have
that.
a solo boat, an outrigger, and I'm gonna get it painted, and I'm gonna put Jesus on the bottom of it, just as my kind of my last gift to myself.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah.
So, whose shoulders are you standing on? I find it hard to believe you might have some because I find you so strong, and I love our conversations every time we have them. But who would you say is your mentor, your guidance, who lifted you up?
Hmm. There's two individuals. One is my mom, and my mom's no longer with me and with us. She passed away in 2012 of pancreatic cancer, and I talk to her in the present tense, or refer to her in the present tense. A lot of things that I do, even staying in financial services and coaching a lot in financial services. I coach across the border with anyone gives advice for a living, but my heart and soul is definitely within financial services, because it's not about investments, it's not about life insurance, it's not about the policies, it's about the faces of legacy. That's what it's about. It's about, staying faithful and true to your obligations of your family, of your community, of the tenure that you're putting around you. So my mom grounds me a lot in that. Even the stories of her, being a single mom with four little snot gobblers when my dad left, and left us with $36 in the bank. And when my mom passed away, she built her own company, went to night school, raised us. We never were without. And way making over 12, or excuse me, over $1,000 an hour, building herself out in her own company. So kind of standing on her shoulders and continuing her legacy, and then also correcting her legacy too, the things and the mistakes she made too, because it's not just repeating the same thing and living her life. It is, adding our spin onto what we've done and having that opportunity of changing, what was bad, and, doubling down on what is good. So she's the big one. And the other one are my nieces that are around me. They teach me a lot.
That's amazing. I love that story. We women, we are sure are resilient, aren't we?
It blows me away. Absolutely blows me away.
I still don't know why we don't run the world. I got to tell you that.
I don't want to.
That's probably
That's why we
why.
don't, because we're wise and we don't want to.
I love that. What's something you learned about yourself on your journey so far?
Trust my intelligence.
Mhm.
It's funny, and you even said, Kim, you seem like such a strong woman, and I doubt that you stand on anyone's shoulders. We all doubt ourselves. We all have our hard days. We all, you know, try to figure things out. That's to be human. That really is to be human. If we're not having those checks and balances or those hard days, I don't have anything left to learn about myself.
Mm.
But what has happened of because I've been so talented, I'm good at a lot of things. I'm good at a lot of things. But I had to learn how to be great at one thing. And at one thing I learned that I needed to be great at is loving and trusting myself.
Mm.
And that was tough. That was really, really tough. And I think that'll be a forever thing that I work
I
on.
think that is for all of us. We always have that self doubt, even when you have such great successes or you're shown it. You always have that little bit of self doubt, and it can become such a loud voice, and it's hard to quiet it sometimes. Have you found anything that's helped you on that journey to make, like I can do this. Look at me. Look what I've done. What have you found that helps you quiet that voice?
To quiet that voice, I need to get quiet. And I
Mm.
don't think we spend enough time being quiet with ourselves. To love ourselves, we need to be able to spend time alone with ourselves and actually enjoy that time alone with ourselves. So it's not being a recluse or being an invert. It's that whole part of I need to love my own company. I need to be able to just quieten down and sit in nature or wherever that favorite spot is and just hear things, right? And it's so interesting of when you slow down, and it's that part of find the calm is find the eye, find the calm. And so when we have the find the eye, find the calm, we all have this storm of ideas whirling around in our head. Everybody does. And the calmest place of the storm is within the eye.
Mm.
So it's that same part of when I find the eye, I find the calm. And I can now stand in my own authority, know who I am, trust myself, and trust my intelligence. Because when you're in that calmest part of your storm, it's like a matrix moment that you have. And when everything just slows down, you can now figure your path and your journey, right? On the way it goes. It's going back to that bagel, right? Some people, it's that, nice fluffy bagel and the other one's squished. It's the same thing. It's just delivered in a different method, a different style, a different taste.
Mm. Wow. So, can you do lots of talks? Do you have any upcoming talks we could tell people about if to come and listen to you more? Because it's just, I don't think 35 minutes is enough, girl. I
Oh,
think we need
thank
an
you. I've
hour.
been I've been in a bit of a hiatus that we when you all came even to visit for the last 7 months. So we've been busy building a program called Tap In Program. And this has been my love story to small business. So we're busy launching the Tap In program and getting that going. It's an ongoing registration. And what it is all about is that fundamental baseline that everyone needs to go back to year after year within business. We've solved that piece. And it's 20 years or 2 decades actually of my work, of psychology background, of neuroscience, of how do we integrate mindset, accountability, structure, and organization within the business world and giving people a place in a community to come back to. So over the next couple of months, that's truly going to be the format to find me. So I've said no to a lot of speaking engagements so I can get this going and launch for everyone. And after
Mm.
that, YouTube channels, there are a lot going on there. And I'm all over the place in social. I love leaving little tips and little conversations. So that's where to find me for the next bit.
Yeah, and that is under the approach coaching method is your handles on social and YouTube. And I do suggest if you have time, you go check out some of Kim's YouTube videos because they are very inspiring. So Kim, what piques your interest and what's unexplored territory for you that you haven't been on? I can't think of any unexplored territory, but there has to be something. Maybe it's making the bagels before you put the cream cheese on them. I don't know.
Well, my first career was a chef and a tour guide. So
Oh, okay, so no.
no. And I almost opened a barbecue smokehouse up here instead of, using this as home base for our retreat. It's actually, it's my one little part. It's going back to the find the calm and going back to the Carl Jung archetypes. Most business owners skip over the structure part, right? So they skip over the soldier phase, taking order, taking guidance from someone else. And that's that tragic moment that people always go through, or trauma that is related to very successful entrepreneurs. So when you are looking up, what makes someone successful, every single one of them has had some type of trauma. And I have a saying of trauma forms transformation to what face it holds. That is up to us. So my problem growing up in a single parent home is that I didn't have structure at all. My mom was working or doing things, and we did very well, but I kind of took over the mom role, and so I haven't had structure. I've had to fight for everything, and I've had to figure everything out. So my next thing is to actually go over to Georgian Bay Arts and spend some me time and go learn. There's a couple of pottery classes I've been looking at. There's a couple of stained glass classes I've been looking at, because that is such an important part in business. We don't spend enough time in that creative time, in that inspiration time. And that really is something that helps us so much in business. So that's my next one, is just to go work with my hands, go be creative, and have someone else, steer the ship.
I love that. Oh, my husband's really into glass blowing. So for his birthday, I just got him a class at a glass blowing workshop around in our area, and he's so excited. And I'm just, yeah, it is. It's really important to harvest that part of us, even if you think you don't have creativity, but to make sure that we let that grow, and then to again have it, the product that we've harvested from that creativity is just, it's so rewarding. I find, anyway. I like it.
Yeah. Everybody's creative. Everyone has a creative bone in their body. They truly do. They just have to get that time to harness it.
You do, yeah. If you could give one small business or one entrepreneur one solid piece of advice, what would it be? It's hard. Just one.
It's hard. But there really is plan, and it sounds so horrible coming from a coach because it's very cliche, but we plan more for our holidays, for our vacations, than we plan for our business. And in the world I work with and the boards I sit on, maybe 30% of businesses have a business plan, and you need it for grants, you need it for loans, you need it for everything. And a business plan is not some gross, disgusting, erroneous 19-page thing and pulling stuff out of thin air. The business plan you need to go back to year after year is just figuring out your unique value proposition, and then going back, I call them pillars. So by doing that and going back to your unique value proposition the right way, and pulling out and extracting and building it with emotion, and then using that to feed your pillars of your 3 non-negotiables per pillar per year that you need to work on. And by doing that, you are going to grow every year. Your clientele is going to grow every year. And the business environment is going to change and grow every year. So that one piece of solid advice is go back to those 2 fundamental plans year after year, so you grow, because the end of one goal is the beginning of the next. And those 2 things hold you solid.
That's great advice. Tell me what you love most about coaching.
Oh, I love my face get all smiley, right?
Yeah, you can tell you love it.
I love it. I am a damn good coach. I really am a damn good coach. And and I know it because, anyways, I know it for many reasons, but I love being that little ninja in the background that uncovers and holds that mirror up and goes to that other person across the way of, this is you. This is who you are. And watching those light bulbs go on. and having them have that win step by step, and giving themselves that time and understanding that when we are feeling impatient, when we're trying to push through something, when we're trying to do something, it means we have something left to learn. So it's just watching that everything click together and them trusting me, because it's very hard to explain what I do for a living. A good business development coach and a strategy coach, it is so personal from person to person. Again, fundamental baseline, right? But you have to approach it. We all deserve our own individual approach because we're individual human beings. So being able to pivot and adjust and being those ones to ask the questions and listen, man, I love my job. It is just, it's fantastic. And just seeing the businesses donating back into the community, financial advisors, if I coach one advisor, it means I'm helping 100 families at least. I'm helping schools. I'm helping the local grocery store, right?
Yeah.
It's incredible. And keeping Johnny in school if dad passes away, right?
Yeah. Yeah. If you could give advice to someone who is struggling or trying to find their voice, or having a break in what they're used to, like when you were that high performance athlete and then you had to have the double hip replacement and it just sends you on such a different branch of that tree that you thought you were climbing, what advice would you give to someone who is trying to find their voice, trying to find their way?
Any change that you have in your life, good or bad, you're going to have grief. So grief is misunderstood a lot. We think it only happens when we lose someone. When we lose something, we're going to have grief. So let yourself go through it. Don't ignore it. Don't swallow it. Don't make fun of it. Don't get stuck in it. But let yourself go through it. And sometimes you need to do it alone. Have friends around you, but remember, friends are therapy, not therapists. But it's just that whole part of we're humans and we're made out of all these pieces and parts. And all those pieces and parts are cogs in the wheel. And so for us to keep moving forward, we need to keep those cogs solid in the wheel. So just go through it, feel it, get help for the right people, and make sure when you are seeking help, do your research, make sure it's the right person, and just go through it. Honestly, go through it.
That's great advice. Well, we're almost out of time. We have about a minute left. It goes by super fast. Is there anything else you would like to share about your journey that we haven't touched, that you just think that you're proud of? Something that you think would help someone maybe following your path?
I'm a business owner, just as everyone else that I coach. And it is that whole part, and I said it before, of trust your intelligence and trust that you have so many skills. You have so many skills. And it's not the will this work or not. It's trust your skills, listen to yourself, and pause and take time. Nothing good happens in a hurry. Social media is fake as fake can be. Don't pay to play. Don't buy followers. Don't, pay for your face on the cover of a magazine or things like that. Be honest, be upfront. People are looking for that more than ever now. They want real conversations. You've been in my office. People want to gather, create an experience.
I love
and
that,
that's
Kim.
what your whole entire life should be, is an experience.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
You're watching an interesting local show on Rogers TV and you want to know more. That's when you head to rogerstv.com. Our website provides more information about our programs, our hosts, our schedule, and about how you too can get involved with Rogers TV. Visit us online at rogerstv.com.
Hi, I'm Ian Boddy, Mayor of the City of Owen Sound. Whether it's improving our parks, fixing roads, or planning our future for the city, it impacts all of us. Please tune in on Monday nights at 5:30 to Rogers TV or owensound.ca